I'm Pat and welcome back to the channel. Today we have the unique opportunity of looking at the C8 Corvette and comparing it to the BMW i8. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click that bell for notifications. I'll be posting more content like this in the future. Today I have the distinct pleasure at being at the Horsepower Obsessed garage. Now, if you're not familiar with Justin at Horsepower Obsessed, there's a link in the description below for his YouTube and his Instagram. And I gotta admit, this is one guy that I really have been looking forward to meeting up with. I met him last year, and when I was starting a YouTube channel, he was the guy that I wanted to look up to in order to figure out what I needed to do for YouTube. So I learned a lot from him, and I really appreciate all the work that you've done to give me something to look forward to in my channel.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. So if you're considering a C8 Corvette, this is the place to be. This is the video that's going to show you what you're going to get into, and I'm going to talk with Justin a little bit more about what it's like to be an owner of this car, because there have been a lot of questions about what am I getting into when I buy a C8 Corvette. That's louder in person than it is on camera, I guarantee it. What's standing out right now to me, which look really cool, is the obvious carbon fiber accoutrements. I love it. A lot of people are like, I don't know if I want that or not, but yeah, this really gives it the exotic look that I think highlights what this car is, the first exotic Corvette. And one thing about the i8 compared to the C8 that I'm seeing right away, obviously, this control section right here on the center console, this does sit a little bit high. It's not really bad. A lot of people sometimes say I don't like this, but honestly I don't really mind it. It's not detrimental at all. And we have some of the Aston Martin and Lamborghini looks here, so we got like all...
I gotta address this. This is just sticky residue that was left over from the protective clear stuff I haven't cleaned off yet. So no, I cleaned it off over here already. You can see that.
Oh yeah, so that's what it's going to look like once you take all that protective stuff off. Very cool. And of course I want to give a shot here of the rear. And we have the small window here in the back, which is definitely Lamborghini-esque. And from my time in Mercy and the SVJ, I think this looks cooler because the center part here, what would be like the normal waterfall area on a convertible Corvette, it really creates a neat shape. They did a great job with the aesthetics. We're going to start her up for the first time. Oh man. This dash is unbelievable. It's bigger than the i8, and obviously your center display is bigger as well. But all of the information that's on here is so crisp and clear. The contrast is spot on because it just jumps out at you. It looks awesome. Obviously we got some tire information over here about the PSI oil temperature. I'm sure you can dig, oh, there's the water temperature down there. We don't have these features in the i8, and I wish we did. Being able to know exactly what's going on with our engines, I think, is very important. And I don't think this is going to be on camera, but it could be. We do have an awesome heads-up display. What's great about this compared to the i8 is you actually have an RPM gauge. Now the newer i8s have that, but the 2015 does not. It's sad. I really wish we had that in the i8. All right, in order to put it in drive, I just pull up on the D.
Push the M. You're going to want to drive it in manual mode. It's the most fun. Now, that will not shift unless you shift.
And before I get going, I'm just going to take a look at this rear view mirror, because this is the camera that's in the back right now. And Justin told me this earlier, but it's like when you want to look in the mirror and see yourself, you slide over it, you can't. So could you go ahead and demo what it looks like without? Yeah, of course we have tinted glass in the back, but you know, I could actually adjust my glasses and see myself. Interesting. All right, let's flip that back, because that's a great view and that's high definition. I love it.
You go left of this light.
Little pop there. That's the one thing about an exhaust that I miss. It's the one thing about a V8 that I miss. This is the first Corvette that I've driven in 10 years. I had to sell my C5 Corvette when I got laid off due to the financial crisis in 2009. Wow. You could feel it everywhere. When you shift, you don't feel it in the seat and just the seat. I felt it with my foot on the pedal.
Yeah.
I felt the shift there. I felt the shift in the steering wheel. It not only is it instantaneous, but you do feel it everywhere. Holy crap. That's faster than the i8. The shifts are definitely faster than the i8. That's the one thing I can feel immediately.
Yep, GM says less than 100 milliseconds.
Now, I thought that the square steering wheel would be annoying to me or weird. It's not. It's definitely different looking, but it's nothing compared to what I thought it might be. I like it. And you have how many gears in this?
8.
Now, when you're taking this on a long trip, are you typically sitting in 8th gear and letting it do its thing?
Yep.
As far as the most comfortable driving position for this, what do you prefer? What's your thing?
If I'm on the turnpike for hours at a time, I'll be in touring mode.
Gotcha. So one cool thing about this C8 as well has blind spot detection, which I don't have in the i8, which is annoying, but very, very happy to be able to have something like that in a car like this because I do have some blind spots.
Yeah, you have to have the blind spot monitoring in this because there's a gigantic blind spot on both sides.
And that makes sense for a mid-engine car. I think that's probably the norm.
Yeah, that's the design, yep.
Now with the i8, the doors are a lot longer, I think. And I think that gives you a little bit more look over the shoulder. And you do have the little windows behind those doors. They do help a little bit.
Yep. Those windows behind the doors on the C7 are what allows me to see what's coming out of my driveway. On this, I use this and the rear view mirror the best, or the rear view camera the best I can. Wow. Other than that, it's kind of a guessing game.
Wow. There's nothing like that. Oh man. I mean, I can see how you said that the acceleration was comparative to the i8, which is very true. To me, it feels similar. I mean, obviously, it's the seat of the pants feel, right? But that noise that you hear.
Yep.
What's neat about this exhaust is it doesn't sound that loud when you're just driving at low RPM. There's no drone, there's no nothing. And that's obviously AWE did a great job with this.
Yep.
And watching your videos and seeing you take the car out there and then tearing the back of the car off and putting the new exhaust in, I'm like, not too bad. It does require a bunch of work, but it looks spectacular. It sounds spectacular from a cold start, and it definitely sounds amazing from a dead stop.
Yeah, it adds performance and drops 31 pounds too.
Wow.
Yep.
Now I could tell what you meant earlier when you said it felt refined compared to the other Corvettes, and it's true. You definitely have a comfort feeling in this car that goes way beyond what Chevy did with the Corvette in the past. And I still feel that this has a raw feeling that the i8 doesn't have.
Really?
I feel it in the suspension, I feel it in the steering, and obviously the sound. The rawness is turned up a tiny bit compared to the i8. Now, it sounds like a lifter back there.
Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick.
That's direct injection you're hearing.
Ah, I hear direct injection, okay. I'm not used to hearing it.
I typically don't hear that because, you know, with a little bit of music on, you're never going to hear that. And if you're even a little heavier on the throttle, you're not going to hear it either.
pops now. Pop, pop, pop.
Downshift again. Wait for it.
Ah, there it is. What, about 2,700 RPM or so? That's
only
cool.
from third to second is the only time you'll hear that. That's the way it was. Even on the stock one, you would hear it a little bit from third to second, but that was the only gear you heard it in.
Wow. It's definitely a rawer feeling than the i8, which is what I expected, but I think I wanted a little bit more. And I think you just have to go, we'll see what the Z06 has. If the Z06 has that to offer, then that may be what we have to get.
I think it's going to.
So as far as like taking this thing to a gas station, pumping gas, do people come over and say, hey, what the heck is that?
Yes. I've had a couple people come over and ask me what kind of Ferrari this is. And I said, if I get one more person that does that, I'm just going to say it's a model that's not available to the public yet. I'm testing it for Ferrari.
Now, do you get thumbs up on the road too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
If you start noticing the people coming past you, if you watch them, they go absolutely crazy for this car.
Wow.
It's the weirdest thing. Like, I had a lady actually get out of the stoplight once we were both stopped. She got out of her car and came up to my window and asked me what it was.
Wow.
Because she was like trying to yell at me, and I couldn't hear her because I had my music on.
Yeah.
I looked over and like scared the crap out of me. I was like, whoa, what's up? She's like, what kind of car is that? And I was like, oh, it's a Corvette. And she's like, oh, it's really nice. And then walked away, and I was like, okay, thank you. And then I had a guy on my one video. I was in a parking lot doing a video for this car actually, and he was a UPS driver. He came through and he said, "What is that?" It's a Corvette.
That's a Corvette.
It's the new Corvette.
That is sweet.
I saw that video.
Yeah. I was like, it's a Corvette. And he's like, that's a Corvette?
That's so awesome.
This has the front end lift too, if you didn't know that.
So how would you engage the front end lift if you were going to turn that on?
Just this button right here.
Ah.
And there she goes.
I got an indication here on the dash, which is great.
You're 2 inches up.
I can't even feel it, but I know that I'm not going to hit something.
When you come to a stop here, just watch the front. Whenever I put it down, you'll be able to see it actually go down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's smooth. It's quiet.
Yep.
It's really cool. Can we take a look at the what the nav unit looks like?
Yes.
And this is all touchscreen, which is really, really nice. I like the fact that you can actually touch this, and it's big. And it's right here. It's not sitting up here on the dash. So that's a difference. And it's okay to be different, but this is this is so much better in my opinion. It's right here. I don't have to, I don't, even if I had a touchscreen, I'd have to reach. I don't have to do that. They made it ergonomically perfect, especially all the heating and cooling controls, the seat heating and cooling as well, for the passenger as well as the driver. Your mode selection being right here, to change in and out of gears. We got cup holders, unlike a lot of supercars out there. You don't have a cup holder. Yeah, I'm really, really impressed. All right, now that I've had the opportunity to drive the C8, and Justin, this has been an awesome experience. First time in 10 years I've driven a Corvette. Man, this is a treat. But now I'm gonna give him the opportunity to drive. I wanna see what it's like to be a passenger in this car. So let's climb into this side of the car and we'll go for a ride with Justin.
So typically, like I said, I drive around in sport mode. I think sport mode's the most versatile. It's kind of keeps that you're in a sports car feeling, but doesn't jar your bone, your teeth loose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, track on this car is actually really interesting. I had to actually look it up as to why this happens, but in sport mode, the car seems pretty stiff. In track mode, you immediately notice the front end gets really soft.
Really? In track mode?
Yeah, the rear end stays stiff, but the front gets soft. And I was like, why would that be? So I had to look it up, and come to find that it's a fix for understeer.
Oh, they actually fixed it then?
No.
Oh.
I shouldn't have said fix, I should say Band-Aid. It's a
okay.
It's an attempt at fix for understeer. So the car will, and I experienced it on the track because I drove unknowingly for the first couple laps. I was actually in tour mode.
Wow.
And it felt okay. And then I was like, oh, I have it in the wrong mode. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is going to get even better. I put it in track mode, and I immediately felt the front was just like this over bumps, and I was like, that's really weird. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and that's what their fix was. There's a couple different things you can do to help eliminate understeer: softening the front suspension, reducing the size or the width of the front tires, all that kind of stuff.
I know with my car, once I went with a wider front tire, I was actually able to eliminate all the pushing, and that's just based upon other people trying it. I decided, let me give it a try, and it really made a difference. Now, obviously, the i8 tires are so much thinner, and that's for fuel efficiency. They really want to make the car quiet.
Yep.
They want to reduce the amount of fuel you're using, but you know, there comes a point where when you give the car the sport mode and you have the ability to push it, well, I want to be able to push the car. I don't want to go into a turn and have a Camaro ZL1 take the turn, and I can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bad feeling. So yeah, immediately, as soon as I put wider tires on, even on the stock rims, it made a significant difference. I mean, sitting here in the passenger seat too, the feeling and the hearing is different. So like when the upshift happened back there in the parking lot, it sounded different to me. I mean, I think when you're in the driver's seat, you feel so many different things because you're expecting them to happen.
Yeah.
But when that shift happened, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know, I didn't hit the shift. You know, I didn't hit the paddle shifter. So getting able to sense that from my side, you know, this is important to me, and I appreciate you definitely taking me for a ride while you're the driver.
Yeah, honestly, I think this car is probably more visceral, more exciting when you're not the driver.
Got it.
Because yeah, it borders on scary.
Okay.
But when you're the driver, everything's so much more calm and collected, because all you're doing is really hitting paddles, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing as a passenger that I really love when I know I'm in a powerful car is the feeling you get in the gut.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a passenger and you're not expecting it, you can't tense up. You just sit there, and it's like, I'm getting punched in the gut a little bit. I know I'm taken for a very cool ride.
So here's something pretty cool about the dual clutch transmission. You squeeze both these paddles at the same time, it puts you in neutral. So you can do a couple of those little things.
I wish we had that in the i8. I've actually tried that because I've seen the Lambos have that feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have that in the i8, which kind of sucks. But then again, who wants to hear a 3-cylinder Ram? And one thing as a passenger, obviously this center section here doesn't really bother me. I know that some folks have said that even as a passenger, you feel like you're very much segregated from the driver and may not even feel like you're part of the car. But honestly, you just ignore it. It's nothing that stands out and says, oh, look, you know, you're definitely a partition away from your driver. Not the case.
See, I'll put it in track now.
Okay.
You'll feel the front just immediately get more bouncy. Yeah, you feel it?
Yes.
They softened up the front to try to help with that problem, but I can still feel the rear is real stiff.
Yep. You can definitely feel that. It's like almost like a pendulum almost. You get tightness in the back but movement in the front. Huh.
Yeah, all right.
Holy crap! Whoa! All right, that smacks your head into the seat in launch control that I haven't felt since I've been in the Aventador. So this is definitely on par with all these supercars, in my opinion, and the feel that you get as a passenger.
Even as a driver, man, it hits you right here in the chest. It feels like the first time I ever was on a roller coaster.
Yep, that makes sense. Wow, I'm really impressed with that. Now, obviously, we didn't get a chance to do launch with Justin because I could have done the same thing with him. But the launch in the i8 does not feel like this at all. It feels like your normal pull-out with a little bit more and then a harder shift.
Yeah.
So it's not as gentle with the transmission, but this is just insane. I mean, that felt very raw. The tire spin felt very raw. The ass end moving around felt very raw. That's what's so cool about this architecture in this car.
If it was a little warmer outside, I've done those, the little bit of track time I had with AWE, I did 4 of those launches in a row, and those tires did not make one sound. They just gripped and went.
Wow.
And it was like 85 degrees that day though. So
wow.
4 times in a row, I was able to hit 2.6, 0 to 60.
Yep.
GM advertises 2.9 on this car.
I don't know why they advertise it as being 2.9, unless they're factoring in different altitudes and they want to figure that's the average.
Yeah, the average probably. Because I mean, I did it 4 times in a row, 2.6 all 4 times, and that was my first time launching this car.
Wow.
My first 4 times, I should
wow.
say.
So you can't screw it up.
No. Foot in the brake as hard as you can.
Yep.
Foot down on the gas as hard, and then you let go of the brake.
Yep. Same thing in the i8. Now, are you limited to the number of launch controls you can perform in this car before it locks it out?
No.
That's awesome because the i8 has that.
It does?
You get 100 launch controls and then forever.
Oh my
You can
God.
no longer do it again.
That is horrible.
Yes, it's bad. It's one of the most horrible things I've seen, and nobody's been able to code it out. So a few questions that have come up on the i8 forums regarding the i8. So let's say you're looking for an i8. You ask a couple questions. So I figured these would be great questions in order to ask Justin, so he could tell us a little bit more what it would be like to own a C8 compared to an i8. So number one, Justin, ease of getting in and out, and do the doors get in the way when you try to park next to anything?
No, so I just took your i8 for a drive, and that's definitely different on the C8. So the doors are never going to get in your way, and getting into this car, being a mid-engine, is incredibly easy.
And the other thing that comes up sometimes is ease of moving in and out of parking spaces, because I know with a car like this sometimes we have some weird lines, and it's pretty difficult sometimes to eye things up correctly in order to get in and out of places. How has it been so far for you?
So after driving the i8 again, the forward visibility, looking out the passenger or driver's side window and the front glass, there's definitely some areas of concern there. But with the C8, forward visibility very good, out the window is very good, in the back not so great. So as long as you get to at least the 2LT, you'll have that little camera above the glass there. That's going to allow you to have the rear view camera option, I guess. So basically that helps a lot with rear visibility, but it's tough out of this car. I mean, anything from the glass back to about here is, you're guessing.
Gotcha.
So not the best.
And is that glass, is that transparent, or is that just like a fill?
This is just a piece of plastic right here.
Got it.
That's not even glass.
Got it. And as far as maintenance is concerned, if you have to take this thing in for your normal oil changes, is there anything else that's really special about this car that would, be something that people want to consider before they get a C8?
So that's actually the thing that GM really worked around, from what I understand, because mid-engine cars typically require fantastic oil change procedures, belt change, spark plugs. You can do all this yourself. So in the garage, you can jack this up. There is a cutout at the bottom for the oil filter, another cutout for the drain plug, which is only one, even though this is a dry sump system. So they designed it, only one drain plug, drains the entire thing. You can actually, there's 2 cutouts at the bottom you can fit both hands up in and actually change your spark plugs without dropping the engine, as well as the front accessory belt. So the only thing you'd have to drop this engine for would be things you'd have to drop a normal engine for.
These things are important to me because I love to DIY my cars. And if I ended up getting a C8, I would absolutely want to have my hands in this stuff. So those are great answers. Can we pop the trunk here?
Absolutely.
Now, Justin recently modified his engine cover. So there's links in the description because all the modifications that he made here on this car, he went over in great detail on his channel. So definitely be links in the description on how you can see the process and what options and modifications he has. But what's really neat about this particular setup over the i8, obviously, as you can see it. Now, I modified mine so you can see the engine, but this is really cool, and this is what stands out to me as making this car have that exotic look, that you can actually see this mid-engine. What do you feel like having this now?
It's the same thing. So whenever I first got the car, that cover was just gray. And I said, you know what, this is like literally what makes this car. So I had to get something that was going to stand out more. GM makes one that's red, it's like a burgundy, and that's it. So I thought, I'm going to contact a couple people, see if I could get this thing custom painted. And sure enough, there's a couple people out there that will do it. This was done by Pat over at American Hydrocarbon. I know, right? There's so many Pats going on here. But yeah, the red is the exact torch red match, so it will match your car. He hand paints in the Corvette flag up at the top. The rails are painted custom carbon flash, and then the Corvette lettering is again torch red. So it is a 100% perfect match for the car, and at night, especially with these lights glowing down on it, it looks amazing.
And the one thing that stands out to me is the storage space. Obviously, you have a usable frunk, which I don't have in the i8, which is cool, but you have a very large trunk back here. Have you filled it up? Have you put a lot of stuff in here?
Yeah, so I actually have a 10 by 10 pop-up tent that fits in here. And not only does it fit, but I could probably fit 3 of them in here, which is insane.
That's awesome. So any of us, of course, i8 owners, we know that we can only fit so many groceries back there. This is like double. I mean, this is really amazing.
With that said, you would not want to put groceries back here. This gets really, really warm. So somebody else did a YouTube video on it not too long ago showing that this gets to be like 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Easy.
Same in the i8. It gets hot back there. Yep. So you don't want, especially frozen stuff, you don't want to leave frozen things back there.
You'll have soup. But the front trunk, that's where all my groceries would go. It stays cool up there.
Yeah,
okay, so we can go right up under here. That's one of 3 ways into the frunk.
Very cool.
So I know you can, depending on how big of a human you're talking about, you can fit a human being in there. Of course, I've only done it for like cool pictures. Trust me, I'm not a weirdo. But.
That's cool. And of course, if we do get a hybrid C8, I don't know if this is going to actually be there, because I think your electric motor is going to be sitting in there.
I think so too, but I don't think they're going to completely eliminate this. I'd say it's going to be resized. Now this will fit a standard luggage. I sat it in here, tilted it back, and have about this much room over here for something additional with this actually closing. So it's pretty usable space.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the car overall. Even if it wasn't modified and I just picked it up, I could definitely see a lot of usability. And I do like to daily drive the i8, but I think I could easily daily drive this. Having this opportunity, and Justin, thank you so much for having me up here today.
You're welcome.
This means the world to me for many reasons, but you know, being a Corvette guy and driving a Corvette 10 years ago and having to sell my Corvette because I lost my job, being in this today, this made my day, man. So obviously getting a chance to review it is so awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Obviously, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment box below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing and ringing that bell for notifications, as I'll be posting more content just like this. Again, check out Justin's channel, link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and happy motoring.